Hi, thanks for joining us. We're going to begin in just a few minutes while we let everyone else join on. Hey, Theresa, how's it going? Hey, thanks for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We'll let a couple more people jump on.
Okay, that'll be great. Kyle, I need to let you know that I am going to have to definitely leave by 12:55. I have my second vaccine I've got to get to.
Hey, well, that's the most important thing of the day. So absolutely. And we'll make sure to leave in some time for Q&A, but thanks for that heads up.
Sure.
Lindsay Humphreys, it's been a long time since I've seen your face. How's it going?
I know. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just got Johnson & Johnson yesterday, so I know the feeling of feeling a little crummy. So, but I'm here.
Congratulations. That's great.
Yeah, we got really lucky. My husband was able to get in too, so we're both just kind of taking it easy today. So.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Hey, well, I was like, I always see all of these JA emails, and it seems like you're killing it. So keep it up. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll give it a few more minutes. We usually start it right at 12:03. And Theresa, after my introductions, I'll pull up your PowerPoint, and then if you'll just give me cues whenever to move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'll just say next slide if that's okay with you, Kyle.
Perfect.
Oh. So I'll apologize right up front in case my phone starts to ring. I'm in the office, so I can't control it.
Hey, no worries. And we know you're a busy person, so it's no worries on that. But we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll just apologize from the get-go if it seems like I'm multitasking. It's because I'm also admitting people into the room. But my name is Kyle Biederolf. Thank you all for being here today. I'm the Professional Development Chair for the Young Professionals of Albuquerque. And we're all just very, very excited for you all to be here with us today. Before we start this exciting event, we do have a couple housekeeping items. As you can see in the top corner, we are recording this event. So if you do not want to be on camera for the record, please turn your video off now. We will be uploading this to the website for those that weren't able to make it now, can still watch it. Thank you. And to ensure that everybody here in this chat or this Zoom room has a voice in the room, I would encourage everybody now to go to the chat feature and introduce yourself and tell us where you work and how long you've been a member of YPA. And as you've heard as like a million times now, we're rounding out the first year of this, but everyone please stay on mute. We want to respect our speaker's time and hear everything that she has to say. But we do encourage questions. So we will have a time at the end for questions if you have any. But if you have some throughout the event, we encourage you to just place them in the chat and we'll make sure to get through them at the end. The last thing that we have to say is that just be on the lookout for our April Lunch with Leaders. And we're going to have a couple other events coming down the pipeline over the next couple of months. And of course, as always, we want to give a shout out to our annual sponsor, New Senda. Without them, we wouldn't be able to have great events like this. So now we get to go to why we're all here today. Now we get to our speaker. Theresa A. Carson is the president and the CEO and the founder of the African American Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce. She is a retired senior manager of supply chain integration. Whew, what a title.
It is.
From Sandia National Laboratories. Her responsibilities included oversight of supply chains, procurement policies, training, quality assurance, supplier risk management, and supplier diversity programs. I'm sure there wasn't anything at Sandia National Labs that Theresa didn't do. She did retire from the labs in March of 2018 after 36 years of service in national interest. Theresa, as we'll learn about today, is very passionate about helping her chamber members become an active, influential partner in bringing strong industry leadership and economic development to our Albuquerque community. She believes, and I read this and I was so very excited about this quote, but she believes that together we can do great things and make a greater difference. I've had the pleasure of working with Theresa over the last year, and I'm extremely excited for this program. So without being said, I will pass it over to you, Theresa, and I will get your slides up.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle. Good afternoon, everyone. Kyle, with that wonderful introduction, there's not a lot left for me to actually say, but I'll go ahead and just share some of the information. I also want to thank Kyle because he was the one who actually shared with me sort of the outline of what I'm going to be going over today. So Kyle, do you want to go ahead and go to the next slide? So before I share information about who I am and leadership and my experience as it relates to that of leadership, I want to share a little bit of information about the African American Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, because I'm sure there are people here that are on the call that have not heard of the chamber and what we actually do. So the chamber was actually established, incorporated in August of 2018. We actually launched the chamber to the public in March of 2019. And our mission is to develop and empower Black economic opportunities in the greater Albuquerque region. And I just also wanted to make a note at this point is that we are going to be reaching out to more of the state beginning in 2021, fall of 2021, moving into 2022. Our holdup has been the pandemic, which I think you can all relate to. So the purpose of the chamber is to promote, economic growth of Black-owned businesses by focusing on education, advocacy, mentorship, and networking. Next slide, Kyle, please. And these are just some of the things that we actually do within the chamber. Our 505 networking event includes an educational component. It also includes pertinent business information and it provides an opportunity to meet like-minded people for a purpose. We just had one recently, and that networking event was dedicated to dispelling myths as well as misinformation about the vaccine, of which I'm going to get my second one today. In addition to that, we introduced 2 of the new African-American anchors at KOAT. We also engage in mentoring for our startups and those businesses that want to grow that may have specific problems or specific challenges they want to actually address. We provide business consultation and assist our businesses by connecting them with financial resources for their capital requirements and needs. We offer a host of workshops, trainings, webinars. Just to give you an example of some of the ones we've done in the past, we did one on healthcare for our small businesses. We did one centered around how to market your brand, also understanding business taxes, and we do several business lessons learned roundtable events throughout the year. Coming out of Sandia Labs, one of the things that was very important to me with regards to the Chamber is providing information about contracting opportunities within both the federal, the state, private industry, and also our city government. So that's just to give you an idea of some of the offerings that we have here at the Chamber. Another program that we're very, very proud of is that we just launched in the beginning of the year is a financial literacy program to help individuals to continue to stay on track with regards to budgeting, with regards to savings, with regards to investments. Because one of the things we are definitely trying to do here at the Chamber is to make a difference with regards to minimizing or reducing the wealth gap between the African American community and the non-minority community. Next slide, please, Kyle. So now we're going to get a little bit of information about me. So Kyle wanted to know some personal background information about me. So I still claim my Southern roots. I was born in Meridian, Mississippi, which is located in East Central Hills region of Mississippi. I am married to Michael Carson, been married to him now. We will be celebrating 41 years come this August, thank you. Not to be confused with his brother, Ken Carson, who owned Nexus Brewery. People have a tendency of confusing us quite often. Both gentlemen, both brothers end up marrying 2 Theresas, and so that's why there's always such confusion within the community. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration and I have a master's in supply chain management. And so, Kyle, to answer your question, no, I'm not the end all to be all from the laboratory. The majority of my career was spent in supply chain management and also business operations. As Kyle indicated, I did retire from the labs in 2018 as a senior manager, and he covered quite well those responsibilities that I had there at the labs. So Kyle, if you could advance it to the next slide. So one of the other questions that Kyle had for me is basically how did I get to where I'm at? And so a lot of planning and resiliency are 2 of the things that I definitely hold up as helping me to get where I'm at. Definitely creating my life vision. I started that very, very young. I had an idea of where I wanted to go. And so part of that was just establishing those goals in order to be able to get there and then to establish that action plan for me to get there. And at a young age, that was not the terminology that I was using at that time, but as you grow in life and learn more about planning, this is actually what I was doing. The other thing I would say in that planning and resiliency piece is personal control. I have learned to accept challenges and to work to overcome them. Even when situations are beyond my control, I work to find possibilities and pursue them. For an example, when faced with not getting a promotion that I believe that I was well qualified for, I went to the selecting executive to obtain feedback as to why I wasn't selected for the position, and then sought him out to be my mentor to help me to overcome that particular gap. The other area I think that I have demonstrated is commitment to my actions and to the goals that I've set out before me. The other one is that I feel that is very important and is part of my support system is my relationships, both with not only my family and friends, because they are truly a great resource and a great source of information on how and what you need to do to improve. I know within my family, they have no problems with telling me some of the things that I need to definitely improve upon. And I value that free feedback. But also they are encouraging and supportive for me to actually stay the course with regards to the goals that I've set out for myself. The other area is mentors and advisors. They assist in helping not only me, but others to build their knowledge, skills, as well as that of their abilities. So I continue to rely, even in this role, on trusted mentors and advisors to give me critical feedback. They are also a great resource to bounce project ideas and possible solutions to problems. These individuals are committed to my doing well, and I've learned over the years that these relationships matter a lot. Early in my leadership journey, I thought that you could just work hard and be smart, and that would actually do it, but that is not enough. And so work-related mentor relationships with people who recognize your talent will give you a safe place in which to make and learn from mistakes, to provide you with candid and actionable feedback about your performance, and generally make it their business to actually support you and create opportunities for you to succeed is very, very important. And the last one is having passion. So I have drive and passion to accomplish those things I set out to do. Beginning at an early age, I attribute that to my grandmother. And I know if you've seen any of the articles that they published on me, I give a lot of kudos and thanks to my grandmother. She demonstrated for our family what it is to work hard and to overcome adversity. Therefore, she encouraged us to put in the time and effort required to reach our goals. And then the other one I would say that helped me to get where I'm at is my previous experience working as in leadership roles at Sandia for, although I spent 36 years, I spent 20 of those years in leadership roles. And specifically the one that helped me with regards to wanting to have this chamber was when I worked as not only the manager over, but also the senior manager over Sandia Small Business Programs. I saw firsthand the difficulty in finding and identifying qualified minority-owned businesses for contracting opportunities. And so, and therein lies why we now have the chamber today. Next slide, please. So what got me interested in leadership? The thing that I keep going back to is my desire to make a difference. I love helping people grow because people have helped me to grow. I enjoy and am motivated when I invest my time as well as my energy in helping other people to be more successful, to provide education and building skills, knowledge, and abilities, making connections, giving feedback, providing resources that they may need, or being someone's mentor myself. That actually that's leadership to me. Although I'm a business major, I'm also a STEM enthusiast. I want to continue, and I have done it in my previous role at Sandia, exposing underserved young people to that of STEM age. I was a program manager at the labs for Sandia's Hands-On Minds-On Technology Summer Science program for more than 8 years. And I continue some of that work being the ACES STEM Charter School Foundation board chair. I also avail myself to community development improvement projects and programs. And I'll show you some of those in a few minutes, because the next slide talks about the other engagement I have. And with regards to economic growth, I do have a passion for seeing some of that happen here within the city, specifically around the work that we're doing here at the chamber. And again, one of those, as I indicated, is that financial literacy program. Next slide, please. So with regards to some of the current community service initiatives that I'm involved in, you know, I'm on the board here at the chamber. As I indicated just a few minutes ago, the ACES Charter STEM School Foundation. I'm also a proud member of the Albuquerque alumni of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, where I serve on the Economic Development Committee. I was appointed as one of the commissioners for the City of Albuquerque Development Commission, and I serve as a block captain in my own neighborhood. So those are just some of the things that I'm currently engaged in with regards to the community. Next slide, please. So some of my leadership lesson learned. So a proud leadership moment or moments. Again, it all centers back to helping individuals. And so in my career at Sandia Laboratories, two people jumped out at me when Kyle sent me the outline for this presentation today, was helping two of my administrative assistants recognize their talent and abilities, and what they ultimately did, they actually changed their career into a high paying ladder within the laboratory. So they both became buyers. And so one of them became a non-exempt buyer and the other one became an exempt buyer. And that person, which was a staff level position, and that individual actually went on not only to get their undergraduate degree, but they also went on to get their master's degree. And I am just so thankful I had an opportunity to have a hand in that person's career. The other one that was a proud moment for me is working with our HR leadership team at Sandia to include more than one historical Black college or university to our list of schools to recruit undergraduate business majors. And so we were fortunate to be able to go to Howard University and Jackson State University. And I volunteered to actually to begin that recruitment initiative. And so I was really happy about that. My least proud moment stems around a basic human courtesy. And that was not acknowledging the hard work of a project team. And the project team actually was a couple levels below my direct report. And so just, you know, basically sending them a thank you message with regards to the hard work that they had done, especially when they had met the delivery date. And so part of my lesson learned from that is that we must always show we value and appreciate our staff when warranted. And the other thing too, my lesson learned after that incident, and I got wind of, you know, there were some individuals who were wondering why I had not sent that team a thank you note. The rest of my career at Sandia, and I take that lesson to what I do today, I send a lot of thank you notes, just recognizing individual and thanking them for their assistance in any of the projects that they may be engaged in. Because I truly do believe that it's true that people don't leave jobs, they actually leave their bosses. And so So just exercising some common courtesy just to say thank you and doing it in a timely manner is very, very important with regards to leadership. Next slide, please, Kyle. So these are some of the leadership lessons that I use. I share my vision for both people as well as, what I am anticipating and want to accomplish with regards to the organization or any of the teams that I may be leading. I believe in collaborating on the plan to achieve that particular vision, because I think you really do need to get others involved so that you can share that vision so that they themselves can, catch that fire to help you to accomplish that. The other one is not micromanaging, because it stifles creativity. Managing your time wisely, because there are always these distractors that can easily take you away from what you're trying to accomplish and your overall goal. To treat others with respect and dignity always. Keeping a positive attitude, that one's very, very important to me. And if possible, and I have had this great luxury when I was at the labs, more often than not in my career, to choose the people who you work for and with wisely. Because you really, it really matters and who you work for, and helps you to accomplish those things you need to accomplish in your team. And then don't be afraid to say, I don't know, I'll find out. I think people gain more respect for that as opposed to try and just punt. To be bold and encourage and support out of the box thinking to solve problems, because just because we've always done it that way doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way. And so next slide, please. So you get Kyle wanted to know in his outline what my leadership philosophy is. So my leadership philosophy now is a little bit different than it was when I was at the lab, because of just the sheer nature of the work that I currently do. And so for me, it's to surround myself and work with individuals who think strategically, have a collaborative mindset, because that's what we have to do here at the Chamber. We don't want to recreate wheels. We want to be able to collaborate and work with other organizations, and are passionate and committed in a manner that will influence positive change. So that's my leadership philosophy as it stands today. Next slide. So what would be a call to action? That's a question that Kyle presented. And so part of that call to action has to do with leadership advice for me for improvement. One is to be a continuous learner. Read books, listen to podcasts, attend webinars on leadership, but also educate yourself about other people. Their culture, their history, some of their challenges. People who work for you want to know that you care about them. And so the other one is to remember feedback is a gift. Seek it, embrace it, and learn from it. It really does make you a better person. It makes you a better leader. And then the last one I have is to be a change agent. Champion, support, promote change in our community. And that could be anywhere from, especially when we think about the times that we're in, diversity, equality, inclusion, as well as that of social justice. If nothing else, this year, 2020, has been fraught with many challenges. And you know all the examples. I don't have to tell you those. Individuals and organization alike have been forced to contemplate and reflect on these various injustices and challenges that have been so clearly illuminated. And so if there has ever been a time to call on your inner activism, volunteerism, intellectual and problem-solving abilities, I believe that the time is now. And so I leave you with this quote, which I hold dear is leadership is not about a title or a designation. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. So Kyle, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be able to share with this group. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And I want to thank you first and foremost on behalf of all of us. I mean, that was incredible to hear your story. And I think a lot of it, I know, drummed up some questions that I have for you, but I'd like to just open it up to the floor. If anybody has any questions, feel free to come off mute. It looks like Gus has his hand up. Gus, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you so much, Kyle. And thank you, Theresa, for such an incredible talk. I have so many questions, but I really want to ask a question about the last thing or one of the last things you said, which is about being a change agent. And I find that it's something we all aspire to be. Change is a constant, change is something we know is important around us, we can't escape it. But change is also crunchy and very hard. And so how can you genuinely, especially when you don't necessarily have the leadership title, right? If you're managing up, I know is a term often used. How can we be better stewards of authentic or like real change that's maybe even a paradigm apart?
Yeah, it's a really tough one, Gus. I agree. But, you know, you do what you can where you're at. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be anything that's huge. I mean, sometimes it's the little things that matters. Depending on the situation, it could be just having conversation, getting involved in some of the potential organizations that you actually have that are making a difference, and starting there. It really depends upon, even like with the philosophies that that's hold dear and being espoused within your organization. There's always some opportunity there where you can get involved to be able to make a difference. I know, just for instance, like even like with, I always have to go back to my examples at the labs. I became also chair because we knew that there was some things that needed to be done with regards to minority recruitment at the labs. So I joined and became very active in the Black Leadership Council there within the organization, and got on board with some of the things that they were actually doing. And from a collaborative effort with many of us, we were able to then start to inflict some changes that needed to be done. And so by no means is it easy.
I like inflict some changes. Thank you. I'm gonna remember that.
Awesome. Thanks, Gus. Thanks, Theresa. Lindsay, I saw you had a comment or a question. Do you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you so much. I was just wondering if you have any specific resource recommendations for increasing your leadership skills as a young professional.
As far as resources, yeah.
Yeah, like you mentioned podcasts or books. Are there any that come to mind?
So I was always a student of John Maxwell. I love the stuff that he actually produced. And so I use a lot of his stuff. The other one that comes to mind is you need to understand other individuals' leadership styles so that you could respond to them and sort of speak their language. So there's a lot of materials out there regarding social styles and understanding varying leadership styles. And so it helps your communication, and it also helps you to be able to fulfill some of those needs that those others that you're going to be working with, where you're trying to influence or that you're trying to move forward different kinds of projects. Understanding how they operate becomes very, very important. Those are some of the things that I really, really like. And then within your own company too, if there are opportunities to take some of the leadership training. And I know there's a whole ton of podcasts and things that are out there. I think one of the things anyone needs to do is find a specific author or an individual that they can relate with, and then follow them. Does that help, Lindsay?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. And then I had one follow-up question to another portion of your event. And so when you mentioned mentorship, how do you find the right mentor, or know if once you have that mentor, if it's a good fit?
Yeah, so it takes a lot. It takes research. It takes talking to other people. It takes watching individuals, to see if their leadership style or if is something that you would like to also be able to do. It also takes developing relationships with individuals to see if they are like-minded. I see one of my mentors is actually on this call. And so, depending upon, how, when you witness their behavior, if that is something that, will align with yours. And then if it does, then it's a matter of just going to that person and then asking them to actually see if they would be willing to mentor you. I also wanted to share this too, with regards to mentors. It's not a one and done. Depending upon what's happening in your career, what's happening in your life, you may have multiple mentors. It may be for a project, a specific project. It might be for, it might also be, for your career to be able to get that next promotion. And then also you could, you learn from poor leaders, where that's not something that you actually want to emulate as well. And so those are probably people you definitely want to steer away from.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Theresa. We had a question in the chat from Nina Chavez, who's on the call. She's wondering if you have any great tips on how you foster and sustain your preferred team culture, and if you have tips on how you set that into place from the get-go.
My preferred team culture. Let me just think about it. That's actually a very, very good question. I know some of the things, one of the things I know when I have come into a new group, because I look at that as also now my new team, I immediately have always sat down with that group of folks to just share my leadership philosophy with them, and to get from them, what their thoughts are about that, and then to hear, how they believe they can contribute to the team, and then talk about, the fact for me, I love collaboration. And, talk with them about, that is what I'm going to be looking for from them. The other piece too, that was always important to me is, that's still that human element of how people like to be rewarded. Because everyone doesn't like to be rewarded the same ways. Some people love to, to have a blast that's placed out there in newsletters or whatever the communication may be within the company. They want everyone to know it. But then you have other individuals that are not like that, and they would rather have it more low key, just finding out a little bit about them, and then talking about, how I can support them and how they can support me. And so that starts to set the stage for the environment of us being able to team together. And then talk about what the goals are, what we're trying to accomplish, and see if they can help us to get to that. And people always have choice. If they feel that they can't, or if they don't particularly care for your leadership style, there's other opportunities for them besides just in that particular order, that particular organization. There is no one size fits all with regards to leadership and developing teams. You will go through all those stages, where you're forming you're storming, norming, and then performing.
Awesome. Thank you. And Theresa, there was another question in the chat that came up. And I wonder if you could just double click on this topic a little bit. You touched it a little bit in 2 answers ago, but dive in a little bit how we can learn from a poor leader or a poor manager.
So I've learned over the years of things not to do because of, of the things that they've done. It may be the way that they've treated individuals. It may be the way in which they approach it. I personally have difficulty working with people who are extremely autocratic. And so that is not a leadership practice that I would want within my particular group. There is a place for that. I totally get it. But I believe that you accomplish much more, and this is my own personal opinion, my own personal leadership style, with a more collaborative approach. And so you watch people. I mean, you look at the things that they're doing. You learn from individuals the way that they do things, the things that they don't do. I mean, the things that they say, how they say it. I mean, some of those you will find that you will be able to take those lessons and to be able to learn from them, and then you'll find other stuff that you will just totally discard. I had a manager once that he never ever spoke to individuals when they were in their presence. When you first see them in the morning, it was disruptive for the team, and he was just really closed. And that I always loved having more of an open door kind of policy, because you really need to let people know that you care about them, you respect them, that that you value them. And when you're always behind closed doors, I mean, it's very difficult to actually demonstrate that. So yeah, so those are some of the things that you can do with regards to watching and learning, especially when individuals who are poor leaders.
Awesome. Holly, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you so much for everything you've already shared so far. I feel like I've already gotten a lot out of it, but and especially what you said about leadership. One of the reasons I'm brand new to Albuquerque Business First. I'm the event director now, and one of the reasons I took this job is because it's such a great team and the interview process. So I agree with you in so many ways about leadership. But my questions revolved around just the virtual environment. And I'm just curious if you can share some pros and cons or adjustments that you're continuing to make. Here we are a year later, still interacting in this way, and how you're staying connected and ways that, you keep pushing through and are staying motivated.
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to be very honest. Virtual is fine with regards to, it has its pros and cons. Virtual is fine for the fact that we are now in a pandemic, we're trying to be safe. Virtual is not, it wouldn't be my go-to. It has pros and cons, I have to admit. I mean, because you can get more participation from individuals, especially individuals that may not be, within your general region, and it's great because, people can, you can easily get people to not have to fly somewhere. They can actually just join the call. I totally get that. But one of the things that I'm doing, in addition to all the virtual meetings that I'm having, is I like person to person. So I will also pick up the phone and just call people and talk with them, because I think we still need to have some of that human interaction. Just looking at, people within a box, and it's sometimes very difficult, and it's not always good, for the team. So I like calling people as well. And I'll be so glad when we're post-COVID, so that we can physically interact with individuals. I also miss the hugs, and I also, just being able to just look at a person just right there in the flesh, that's, still maybe, 6 or 3 feet apart, but I really do miss it. And so, but we make do with what we can. And the phone calls help me, also to have that personal touch, as well. I don't know if that answered your question, but I wanted to share that.
No, I so appreciate it. I agree with you. I miss hugs. I miss interactions, events like this. I'm dealing with it a little bit with virtual events. So it'll be nice when we can all be together again.
Yeah, and the other thing too that I have found that helps a little bit, because we have this whole group, of folks that even like here today, but just some one-on-one, setting up a Zoom meeting to even just to do that one-on-one, it helps a little bit, as well, because everyone can't engage at the same time when we have these particular kind of meetings or gatherings. So that's my take.
Awesome, thanks. Justin, you have your hand up?
Hey, Justin.
Yeah, hello. Just hearing the word hugs makes me feel a little empty in my chest. So painful word sometimes.
And I need to also say I recognize everybody's not huggers. So.
Yeah. I had a clarification first, but then a question. You had said earlier an interesting line: stormin', normin', and performin'.
Yeah.
Is norming normalizing, or what does that mean?
Norming is normalizing, where you're starting to be able to work together under a sort of like a normal circumstance with regards to your team, because you go through those highs and lows, and then it gets to a point where you are now in sync and you're working very well together, and you reach now that performing stage.
Gotcha. Very cool. And I certainly hear the consideration you have towards the people around you, which I'm sure really helps in collaboration. The question I wanted to ask is, you had said something earlier when you were giving your backstory about how you didn't get the job initially at one point, and you had talked to the person and kind of asked why, and then it also made them your mentor or sought them out as a mentor, which sounds counterintuitive. And I was wondering if you could maybe explain your thinking or how you got there or why you chose to do that.
Yeah, the reason I chose to do it is because, there's a lot more to that story. And so the one reason that I chose to do it is because this individual was also one of our diversity champions within the laboratory. And so by that individual helping me with regards to the rationale as to why I may not have gotten that job, it was actually twofold. Number one, I wanted to see how seriously they really were about diversity. And he was very skilled at some of the deficiencies that they actually found. And so by having him as my mentor, to not only, it wasn't specifically necessarily about that job, it was skills that I would need to take into other jobs. And so that's why I actually went forward and asked him. Plus, anyway, it was, it also helped me with regards to, being able to work on myself to be able to get the promotion that I was looking for. Does that help, Justin? Does that clear it up?
Yeah, I was just really curious why, because it sounds like it takes a lot of courage to kind of turn around and ask. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Theresa, I have a question for you. When you were chatting about your slide about how you got to where you are today, you talked a lot about kind of planning and setting goals and in developing an action plan for your life, right, in your career. I think for a lot of us, especially in this group of young professionals, well, we're in the first 5 to 10 years of our career. There are a lot of career changes, and maybe you join a team and you don't like the culture and you change. And I guess because of all of those factors, sometimes it seems a little bit difficult to create a plan for yourself. Can you give us some insight that you have maybe for young people to start developing that plan, even though that we know that the plan might go a million different directions before we find the final destination?
Yeah, I guess I will start with what Covey says, begin with the end in mind. what are you ultimately trying to accomplish? Where do you want to be, in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years, and then work it from that particular angle. And I realized that things are a lot different than when I first began, my career. And I tell my daughter that, she's in the millennial generation, and as well. And the current job that she currently is in is not going to be the job that she is going to end up with when in her 5 or 10 or 15 years. And so, you guys have different kinds of opportunities. And it's a lot more acceptable for you to go from one place to another, go from different careers to different careers. I think that's I think that's awesome that you have those opportunities. But I think you also need to know where you want to end. And and to begin to set your goals and your objectives based on that. My career field wasn't linear either. I had many other jobs. I was fortunate to be able to have a career within the laboratory. And so could I have told you that I was going to end up where I ended before I left the laboratory? No, I could not. I had to experiment with other opportunities. And if you're able to get into a company where you're able to actually do that, that's great. But that may not be the case. But I would say, for me, part of that secret sauce is beginning with the end in mind.
Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. Any other questions? I know that we probably have some time for a couple more. I know we have a hard stop right at 12:55.
I do have a quick one. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, how are you?
I loved your presentation and specifically the PowerPoint that you presented. And I wanted to ask you if you would allow us to post that on our website. I think that would be, I'd love to share it. I saw it and I was like, okay, this is great. There's a lot of good information on there. And yeah, I'd like to have it if that's something that you'd be willing to share with us.
Sure. I believe, Kyle, you have it, right?
Yep, I do.
Well, yeah, being that you were like going through it makes sense. But yeah, if you could send it to me, Kyle. But yeah, I wanted to ask Theresa for permission to put it up on our site, and I'd like to share it across our social media and tag you, of course. But anyway, I thought it was great, so I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you. Now, the only thing that I would like not to include in there, Kyle, because of the fact that I did not get permission from the ladies that, I worked with, the one that talks about the, I think it was hold on. I think it was the proud leadership moments. I would like to have that slide not included.
Yeah, Theresa, we can take this offline. I'll clean this up a little.
Okay.
And
That'd be great.
we'll send
Okay.
it to you before we post it.
Okay, terrific.
Awesome. So we have time for one more question. Anybody out there? All right, Gus gets the last question.
Thanks, Kyle. That's kind of you. I have way too many questions in this world. I would be so curious, especially with your many levels of organizing experience. I love that you've really moved exceptional infrastructure in massive companies, and you're also a block captain. Where, and I'm so excited to hear that you're ending up doing Chamber of Commerce and economic work now. What gaps do those fill in kind of a hierarchy of organizing places? What should community members know about Chambers of Commerce, or how should we interact with them as young people?
That's actually an excellent question. I mean, you guys have skill sets right now that, other organizations are looking for. I mean, if you guys are willing to do some volunteering, and I always tell people volunteerism helps build your own skills and helps you to become a better leader. It helps you to become better at doing your job. And it's a great way to gain skills and knowledge and abilities. Especially in the area of marketing, social media. I mean, this is y'all's world, helping individual, being able to share some of that knowledge, to work with individuals. I mean, there is definitely a role within the chambers to be able to use some of that skill set that you currently do have. And we always need volunteers in various areas, and just get involved, because you guys have, it's a totally different world, and you guys have different perspectives that you can share, as it relates to, even like our young people who are now going into business and helping with regards to even, research with regards to their product line. Would this be something, especially with our startup, is this something that, you guys would be interested in actually purchasing? The marketing is different for your generation, and how that's being communicated. So those are some of the areas that you could definitely help with. And so, yeah, I think that being a volunteer, participating in some of the activities, you guys have thoughts with regards to what's happening in the world today, that you could actually share to make chambers even more relevant. So yeah, I think there's a great role, and and I love being able to work across generations.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I want everybody, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a button for reactions. I'd love to give everybody a round of applause. I do see that there's one more hand up. Unfortunately, we're out of time for questions. Teresa's getting her second vaccine shot, so we got to be timely for her. But Theresa, thank you so much for your leadership in Albuquerque, for what you do for the chamber, and for taking some time today to come and share this knowledge with all of us young professionals. We really appreciate it, and if there's anything we could do for you, please let us know.
Will do. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite. And Gus, if you have questions, I'm on social media. You can go to my website and give me a call. Be happy to answer anything else you guys may not have gotten time to ask today. So again, thank you so much, Kyle. It's nice to meet you all and see you all. And you guys stay safe.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.